Hi, my name's Laura and you're watching So Very Laura. Well, Happy New Year. I'm back for my first vlog of 2024, so very warm welcome if you're new here and welcome back if you're an existing subscriber. So I haven't made any videos since my contribution to Sam, Sequin, Girly and Agatha in Agatha's Cottage Vlogmas tour. I've had a little break, in part because I think lots of people were watching Vlogmas and therefore I think probably maybe had a bit less time to watch other content. And also because I didn't really get that much sewing done over Christmas, but I've been doing lots of thinking and planning. Though I did lose my sojo a little bit, but now I've got back into the kind of routine and work and everything. I think hopefully it's making a return. So I thought today what I would do is I'd take a little look back on what I made in 2023. So apologies if there's bits of looking down because I've got a list of what I made, and also I'm going to take a look back at the sewing goals that I made in 2023. So let's start with what I made, and I'm going to put a little slideshow through of what I actually made, so you can see. Hopefully I've got pictures of everything. There is a picture of me in my hot coffee top by Waves and Wild, which I actually made in 2022, but I made one for my mum which was identical in 2023, so you just got a picture of me instead. So I'll pop that in so you can see everything I made, and then I'll come back and talk to you about it. So if you take all the clothes that I made for people's children as individual items, I made 17 things in 2023. And funnily enough, almost half of them were for other people. So I made all the children's clothes, and I made a t-shirt for Steve, and I made a pair of shorts for Steve, the Minions shorts. And I made a hot coffee top for my mum and also a Uvita top for my mum. And so that was most of my sewing for the first half of the year. And then I got round to starting to think about things to make for me. And I made, so for me, I made my Life So Savoury women's jumpsuit, which was a free pattern, which I really love, and there will be more. And then I got started on thinking about what I was going to wear to our friend's son's wedding, and got really hung up making my toile dress, which was the Simplicity wrap dress, and ended up at the last minute making the Fabric Godmother peony dress. And I'll link the video where I talk about those dresses in more detail down below, and also the dungarees, because you don't want to listen to me saying the same old things again. I had a collaboration with the fabulous Becky from What Beck Sews, and also the reveal of my collab on jackets with the fabulous Jess from So What If I Sew. So I made the Simplicity top S9783 for my collab with Becky, which was one fabric, two ways, and I'll come back to that in a minute. And I made the Burda jacket for my collaboration with Jess. And I really loved doing those collaborations, and they were a kind of high point of my year in terms of actually getting the chance to work with other YouTubers, both of whom have now become friends, which is lovely. And then I did two quick wins, which was my Nina Lee South Bank sweater dress and my Tilly and the Buttons dress, which I sewed up fairly quickly. And then to round off the year, I made my sewing caddy, and I have got partway through the toiling process for the trouser block for the Sew Over It Stitch School, make your own trousers. So I'm partway through that, and I will bring out a video when I get to the point of having made my kind of final toile version. So yeah, so that's everything I actually did. So I thought you might find it useful to know what my most ... were. So I'll start off with what was the most frustrating garment, and that, hands down, was the Simplicity top S9783, which was the top that I made for my collaboration with Backg. So loved doing the collaboration, loved the fabric. Pattern drove me crazy, and it's interesting because Christine Gemini Stitcher has just made the top as well, and she was talking about it on her last vlog, so I'll link that down below. And she was having the same kind of nightmares I think that I was. It was trying to work out which bit got attached to which bit on the folding on the front. And so I think when Becky did her reveal, she said that she knew I'd been spending quite a lot of time with my unpicker, and that was really true. So that was my most frustrating make, and ironically I think it's the only thing I've made for myself that I haven't actually worn, apart from the sewing caddy, because that would just be weird. But I haven't worn that top. I think mostly actually it's purely because it to me looks quite dressy, and I haven't really had a dressy occasion when it's been warm enough to wear it. We didn't really do that kind of stuff over Christmas, and I did go to a couple of concerts at the Motor Point, but it has been freezing cold in Wales, so I haven't worn it, but it will get worn at some point. So I don't think it's that I hate it, it's just that the weather just hasn't been warm enough. Another dress that hasn't been out of my wardrobe until yesterday is my wearable toile that I made for the wedding, and that is my Simplicity wrap dress. And yesterday I wore it with a black crew neck sweater underneath, and then just wore it. And I was more happy with it like that because I didn't feel that the top sat so low, the wrap sat so low on me. But I still feel like it kind of gapes, and I did try sewing some hooks and eyes on it, but in fact they look like they show, so I might have to have another think about that. I think certainly if I made it again, which I doubt I would probably raise the collar on it, and I think maybe that's something to bear in mind for wrap dresses for me for the future, just generally, that I'd be better raising the neckline if it's as low as that, because it just doesn't feel right. It's not that I'm particularly prudish, but I just know that I wouldn't wear it like that. So if I wear it in summer, I'll probably wear it with a camisole or something underneath, I think. Okay, so they were the kind of downside topics, makes rather. What about my favourite? Runner-up is my Nina Lee South Bank dress, which I actually managed to sew it while I was at my mum's because I did it all on my overlocker. And I just adore the fabric, and I love the pattern, and I feel super happy when I wear this dress. I do wear it quite a bit to work, and I get nice comments on it, and so that is my runner-up for favourite for the year. But my absolute favourite for the year, and if you're watching me and you were on Sam's Sewing Social, Sequin Girlies Sewing Social Christmas party, you will know this already, that my absolute favourite for the year is the Fabric Godmother peony dress, which I did wear in the end to the wedding, and then also wore to steward at a show, a country show near us. And I just love it because it's so versatile. You can wear it with high heels, you can wear it with trainers, looks great either way. I'd be quite tempted to try and even wear it in the winter with boots, and I definitely want to make that pattern again. So that was my favourite. So I thought I'd move on now. Sorry, I'm going to have to log back in on my laptop. This is really annoying. I shall try and parallel process. Is I'll go through what my sewing goals were. So I'll pop a picture of them up here, and I'm just finding them on my laptop because I had a list of things that I've made up, and now I need to find this. Okay, so these were my sewing goals because I decided I wasn't going to do a make 9. I was just going to have some objectives for the year. So my first one, if we go across the top rows, was learn to fit and sew trousers and jeans. So I would say that this is a work in progress. As I mentioned, I've been doing the creation of the trouser block based on the Sew Over It Stitch School. So I'm part way through that. I'm actually reasonably happy with the way it's going, but then I haven't made the final version up yet, so I'll report back. So I would say that that one is work in progress. And I think once I've done that, particularly in terms of making sure that crotch shape is okay, I'll feel a bit more confident about getting out and sewing trousers and jeans. So watch this space for 2024. Wedding guest outfit, you know, big tick. I did do that. So that's great. Completed that. Bag making. So this is an interesting one because if you've been following me for a little while, you might remember that my husband bought me a bag making kit last year because I said it was something I wanted to try. So I'll pop a picture of that in here. And I didn't make that, but what I did do, and I'm really, really glad I did do it, was I made the stylish sewing caddy. And I actually think that I will make a better job of the bag kit that hubby got me because I've done that, because you know I've learned that you do have to be really accurate and you do have to be really careful on these tiny seams. And I think doing something that was predominantly in cotton rather than something that's in faux leather was quite a good introduction. So I'm going to give myself a tick for that because I did do it even though it wasn't the pattern that I'd originally intended. So that gets a tick. Middle line, dungas and a jumpsuit. So this is really work in progress, I would say. I have made the dungas. I made the Life So Savoury dungarees, which I really like. And as I said earlier, there will be more. Jumpsuit, I'm going to make the layer jumpsuit. I've got the fabric and I have the pattern printed out. So that is ready to go. So I think that will be an early make of 2024. So that also is work in progress. I'm going to leave For Whom I Am for a minute, and I'm going to go to YouTube collaborations because that also gets a tick because, as I mentioned, I did 2 collaborations this year, one with Becky, What Beck Sews, and one with Jess from So What If I Sew, and I think there will be more coming up this year. So I really love doing those. So thank you to both Becky and Jess because, as I said earlier, they were high points of my year. So that gets a tick. And then I've got these final 4. So For Who I Am, Stash Before Cash, Plan Better and Get Less Distracted, and Think in Terms of Outfits, Not Garments. So did I achieve those? I think I have been sewing For Who I Am, actually. One of the things, I've done a list of things I've learned. So jumping ahead a little bit, but what I've learned this year is, and I already knew this really, but I think this year it's really come into its own. I'm much happier wearing bright colours, and I've changed my hair colour, and you still can't tell it's blue on screen, but it is blue, I promise. And I feel kind of happier in my own skin and in what I'm wearing and my choices of clothing than I did this time last year even. So I think I am getting better at sewing for who I am and not who I think I ought to be or what I ought to be wearing. I'm kind of past all that. So yes, I think that I am getting there, and I am creating a wardrobe which is making me happy. Stash Before Cash. I haven't yet gone back and looked at this in any detail, but I do think that I bought less fabric in 2023 than I did in 2022. But I haven't yet put everything that I bought in 2022 that's still unused into Stash Hub, so I can't be completely sure. But I do remember feeling in my early days of YouTube that I was buying fabric, not because I didn't want to use it, but it did give me something to show you all in the very early days of my channel. And last year I tried to stop that and tried to just be a bit more mindful about what I was buying fabric for. That said, when I look back at what I made, the clothes that I made for kids, I was using up stash because I was using up remnants from garments that I'd already made. So that definitely was stash. But in terms of the things I made, the garment that I made for my mum, both the clothes I made for my mum, I went and bought the fabric for it, but I think that's fine because that's for someone else. Ditto the Minions fabric I might have bought in 2022 for Steve, but it was always bought with shorts in mind for him, so I think that's okay. I did weaken a bit with the Dungers and bought fabric especially for those, but I sewed those up fairly quickly, so I think that's fine. The Nina Lee South Bank dress was made in fabric that I bought early 2023, but I had a firm plan to make a sweater dress with it. So again, it's been used, got sewn up. The Billy dress I did make from fabric that I had in my stash for a while, so I think that was okay. And I think in terms of buying fabric for a dress to make for the wedding and a toile, I think that's all right because it's a special occasion. So I think time will tell on that one. I think the jury's out. I think I was better on patterns because I bought new patterns for the wrap dress and the collab I did with Backg and the peony dress. I bought all of those new, but all the children's clothes and the Life So Savoury dungarees were all free patterns. And then I had the South Bank sweater dress pattern already and the Billy dress I had already. So, and then I bought the sewing caddy pattern specially. But I think actually that's not bad. I was using patterns that were either free or that I already owned for the most part. The Burda jacket was in a 2022 edition of Burda, which I already had at the point I made the decision to make that for my collab with Jess. So, yeah, not too bad on the pattern front, but that doesn't mean to say I haven't gone and bought a load of patterns that I haven't yet sewn up. But in terms of what I sewed, I did quite well drawing patterns from my stash. Plan better and get less distracted. This is an interesting one. I did feel at times I was getting a bit overwhelmed in the year and I wasn't really sticking to plans, and I think that might also have been why my sewing slowed up a bit towards the end of the year. And at the moment, having finished the jacket, which was quite demanding, even though I did enjoy making it mostly, apart from the fact it frayed so much, I think I am quite ready to kind of do a bit of a jersey garment blitz on my overlocker and just get some quick wins under my belt. But they are things that have been sitting on the blocks for ages. So I think it's fair to say they will be in effect in my imminent plans. I think I have got less distracted, but I think maybe I haven't been as happy because I haven't gone off and just made things on a whim, and sometimes it's quite fun to do that. So I think maybe I need not to be too hard on myself on that. So I think that gets a question mark. And think in terms of outfits and not garments, I think what I've learned is that actually I like wearing dresses. And sometimes I see other YouTubers saying, I keep making dresses and then I don't reach for them, and therefore I really need to make more separates. And actually I do really like wearing dresses and I do reach for them, and I find it so much easier in the morning, particularly in the winter when all you've got to do is find a pair of tights and stick a dress on and maybe find a cardigan to go with it, and that's me done. And so I've discovered that, yeah, I do like wearing dresses. I did before I started sewing and I still do. But I have started thinking better about outfits, and my Vlogmas contribution to the Vlogmas tour was planning different outfits for events around Christmas, a lot of which I think probably will get made. So I'll link to that video down below as well. But I think I am getting better at it, and I've also got plans. I need to make some more plain t-shirts and things to go with things like the dungarees. So yes, I think I'm improving and not just kind of making random garments for the sake of it. But as I say, I've made 4 dresses this year and I don't actually regret that. So those are my goals and how I got on with those for last year. So what have I learned? Well, I think I've touched on quite a lot of this already, but I've learned that I am happier in my own skin than I was this time last year, and I think that's nice. I have learnt that I can make quite complex things, provided I take my time. So in those categories this year, I would say certainly the Burda jacket, because that was a bit of a nightmare in terms of just learning new techniques that weren't really well explained in the pattern, you know, Burda magazine. So I've learned to bag out a jacket lining properly. I've learned to do welt pockets with flaps. I'd never done that before. I've sort of learned to use a rolled hem foot. I could really do with learning to use it better. But I was trying to do that on the dresses for the wedding. I have started learning to use a gathering foot again, trying to use that on the peony dress for the wedding. And I've learned that if I take my time and just do things slowly, I can make quite complex things. So I think my sewing skills probably have improved this year. And I think in terms of fairly basic sews, I've probably got slightly faster as well. So I do feel I've improved over the year. Like I said, I like wearing dresses, so this year has just confirmed that for me. It is something that I enjoy doing, particularly with boots in the winter. And the other thing I've learned is that bottom halves are a massive gap in my me-mades. I've got very few. I've got a couple of scuba skirts that I made when I first started sewing, one of which I'm pretty sure I had the stretch on it the wrong way and it doesn't fit great anymore. I've got a denim skirt that I made. I've got another skirt that I made when I first started sewing, which was literally made out of, it was a Tilly and the Buttons Delphine skirt. I suspect it doesn't fit me anymore, and even if it does, I'm not quite sure where I'm going to wear a lilac miniskirt with a white flower on it in what I think is probably upholstery fabric, but I'm not sure. So yeah, I think I do need to get on and make some bottom halves, because I probably can't wear dresses all the time. So that's what I've learned. So I really hope you've enjoyed this vlog. I will be back very soon with my plans for 2024. I think that probably is going to be a traditional Make 9. I'm just trying to think a bit more closely about what I want to make. I'm fairly sure I'm nearly there, so hopefully I'll get the chance to record that probably over the weekend. I've had a long weekend this weekend, so this is Friday. But yeah, hopefully over the weekend, and then I will try to set some short-term goals for the rest of the winter. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you're all well and have had the chance to get some sewing done. And I'll see you very soon in my next vlog. Bye for now.